where for sure, just a minute, I need this sponge. For sure, all of the joints need to be on the same plane. So we really will. A lot of times you can just, move the table up. That we're not able. A lot of times you have the patient come out like this, and then you move the table up to go the rest of the way to get the joints parallel. But we just have to slouch our patient. And then let's go ahead and bring your arm out. So we're doing an elbow. So I'm gonna look at that elbow, and I'm gonna kind of put it in the middle, right? That's what I'm looking at, elbow, middle, because that doesn't have to be exactly middle. All right, now let's slouch you down. Okay. So this looks good. Sometimes your patient needs this, sometimes they don't need it at all. So, but now, very simply too, the elbow joint, and which you can clearly see. All right, and I just want to, and this is hung humerus up, where the forearm was hung fingers up, this is hung humerus up. And you need to make sure you have enough room for your marker. Again, I'm not putting it on the lateral side. Marker rules would say put it on the lateral side. So I guess maybe we better do that, put it on the lateral side. All right, epicondyles again are parallel to the image receptor. And this is our AP humerus. So now we're going to do our two obliques. Let's do the really easy one. We're going to pronate your hand and then look at this elbow and make sure it's oblique 45 degrees. Because, let's pitch back. You can pronate the hand and the elbow is not at a 45 degree oblique. So even though the hand's pronated, you need to pick up that humerus and you need to make sure it's at a 45 degree oblique. And you can do this or you can do this. It really does, to me, it doesn't really come into how well you can do this. All right, and then I am just, because she's now at a little bit of an angle here, I'm just going to do that, making sure everything remains parallel. Equal line on both sides. Got to have enough room for the marker. I had it over here for the first one, which was on the lateral side, so it's going to remain over there. So this is our medial oblique. And we see the coronoid processing profile. We see the trochlea on the humeral condyle. Good to go. And so now our other oblique. This is let's put you back in a supinate the hand. And now let's try to get this at a 45 degree oblique. And sometimes we have to lean our patient. They have to lean. But let's just see. What we're going to do now is try to get the thumb and finger down on the cassette. We're going to oblique you the exact opposite way. Now, there we go. All right. Now, to me, that's not the best oblique. So, this is what I would do. This is my patient. There, she's at a good enough oblique. I put an additional ankle on and we would have a great laterally oblique elbow. You can relax. Sorry, it's hard on the body, isn't it? All right. Now for the most important one. This is the money shot. This is the lateral elbow. So what we're going to do now is, now I can have her come straight out and have my 90 degrees, or I can do this. As long as we get 90 degrees of flexion on the elbow. That's all we need. 90 degrees of flexion on the elbow. Put you in a good lateral. And do this. But the other way, probably a little bit easier for you, is just bringing the arm out straight from the shoulder. Get your 90 degrees of flexion. Arrange this underneath your patient. Bring the person down, your patient down, and then continue with your x-ray. Now we want the same amount of anatomy on this x-ray that we had on our first. The same amount of forearm, the same amount of humerus. So one of the things you want to pay attention to. Now, Meryl says that the centroid goes through the elbow joint, which would be in here somewhere. But the problem is with that, you get a ton of light back here. And then you have to collimate more open just to get this enough anatomy here. So do you see the epicondyle here? You almost always are going to be between here and here. You just kind of go straight up that away. You look at your light field, you're going to be somewhere in here, you know, somewhere between here and here. Usually is where you're still pretty much directed at the elbow joint. This looks good. And if I wanted to take some of this off, I could by moving this back up this way. And then allowing myself to calm me down, but I'm not gonna require that you do that. All right, but now this is hung humerus up, and so we need to keep, let's put this on the anterior side, right here. Now, make sure all the joints are parallel one to the other. So shoulder and elbow look good, but wrist is headed downward. So we're gonna build it up so that the wrist does remain parallel. We wouldn't want to go overboard. Oh, you can hardly go overboard with this sponge. But you don't want to bring the wrist too high. Keep everything parallel. And we are good to go. This is our lateral elbow with all the joints parallel to each other, up 90 degrees of flexion. We're good to go. And thank you, Allison, because I know that gets hard on the elbow. And we primarily are working in the center of the image receptor. So